And I remember I had these two groups, and one was the cool group, and the other group of the more conservative ones were not as cool in whatever that means. And I was having a hard time, like at lunch, and just, I remember I felt very torn on who I was going to hang out with. And I knew I had to make a decision. This is weird because I've never really thought this all the way through, but I knew I had to make a decision, which is fucked to begin with. Speaking the word fact. And the conservative group that weren't as cool came up to me one day and said, "Are you going to hang out with them or us?" And I said, "Well, since you asked me that, I'm going to go hang out with them." And I have felt that way as a black woman, that in life, most of my experiences socially with groups of black people has been, are you going to come hang out with us, or are you going to hang out with them? And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to go hang out with them. I don't know, like, it's just been my experience. I only know how I grew up in my body, and I can be aware of everyone else's, and people will say I say ignorant things, but they're not. They're based on my truth, and that's it. No one wants to go where they don't feel included. So, what are you? I identify more Caucasian than I do African American, but I'm very much both, and I am mixed. Like, I feel very mixed. I know both from Caucasian perspective as well as an African American perspective, there's different thoughts on mixed and being mixed, and I think it is its own identity at some level. It's like, people are like, where are you from? They mean, why is your skin darker than mine? Right? Like, and I think that used to be more what I was asked than like, what are you? That's how they posed it when I was in school. Where are you from? And I'd be like, I'm from here. They'd be like, no, but where are you from? And I'd be like, we live in Manhattan Beach. And they were like, no, where are you from though? And like, then people would be like, cause like you're black, right? Or whatever that would be. And then so it would be this weird question. So if you ask me in LA and it's someone from LA, where am I from? I'm gonna say LA. But like, it was interesting as I traveled further distances, where are you from was a way to identify two very specific things. Like, where did I grow up, right? And where was my coloring and heritage lines. My birth mother was Caucasian, and so she was French and German. My birth father, I don't know. I assume, because of how I look, that he was black.
Right, okay. So this just,
I'm just throwing a wrench in your whole thing.
No, it's fine. Like, it just, so you're actually biracial, and then you've been adopted transracial.
Yes. And my husband and I were joking about it, because I bet you my birth certificate says Caucasian, because my birth mother's supposed husband was white, or supposed boyfriend who's on the birth certificate was white as well. So when I was adopted, my parents thought they were bringing home a Caucasian child, because I was butt white when I was born. Like most babies. My babies were both butt white.
So, you know why you're put up for adoption? Is that a weird thing
No.
to put up for?
Right. Yeah, are we correct in using that terminology? Not entirely, no. The story I've been told is that my birth mother had a lot of trouble, financially couldn't provide. She was Christian and didn't believe in abortion. So I think sometimes why you were put up for adoption is, why didn't your mom, you know what I mean? Like, that abortion was not an option. and she felt she was doing the right thing, and we went through a Christian adoption agency, or my parents did. So that was strong in her belief system. And she had a 1-year-old daughter at the time, I think, who she was having a lot of trouble caring for. So she was like, I can't do it. I enjoy being black now. I didn't think I was black. I now have a black husband, black kids, and I'm a black wife, and I'm a black business owner. Black. There's no way around it. When I lived in Manhattan Beach, and my parents were white, and I got a nice car when I was a certain age, it was like I just was from Manhattan Beach. And I think being a black woman is a broader identity in the world. Meaning, being from Manhattan Beach doesn't really solidify your identity. Being a black family is something that translates across borders or cultures. Moved to Texas, my early 20s. No, I went out there to work for a yacht manufacturing company, and I was out there for like 2 years. And someone spit in my face and called me a nigger. And I found Texas to be very racist. And I lived in Austin, which is supposed to not be. But I was like, holy what? That was a very interesting cultural experience for me.
Was that the first time that you've like experienced racism?
Probably, yeah, like that, for sure.
Have you ever noticed, like, subversive racism?
I didn't understand subversive racism because I've always been what I would like to say is a pretty black girl with financial means. And those things have allowed me to have blinders on to subversive racism. Like, I never felt uncomfortable walking into a jewelry store. I think being married to a black man, and even just the difference from dating to married, is completely changed my perspective. Not my perspective. It's made me more aware. I think I still have a unique perspective, but it's made me aware of all sorts of things. You know, like just recently, black guy, gray hoodie, shot someone, parking lot, 5 minutes from our house, and it's like I immediately called Christian, was like, don't wear a hoodie. Like he was just, and that was something I didn't understand, that issue exists for the black community. That's a real thing. You know what I mean? Also, we had a house that we redid in Venice, and at one point we thought about maybe living there, but it's still in a gangish occupied area. Like, it's the height of gentrification. And we were like, if we were white, and more, if Christian, my husband, was white, we would have thought more about the possibilities of moving into that community. Because he's not, we were concerned that most of the crime that actually happens over there is gang violence, mistaken identity. So when they think it's somebody from the other gang, but it's not, it's just a black man going home. And with our schedules in a restaurant, getting in and out of your car at midnight, we were just like, nah, we'll stay.
Not the best idea.
Right. So these are, and then, now I'm raising 2 black sons who I consider mixed. And Christian will laugh at me for an hour about how they're mixed. I'm like, no, I am half white, and my husband's dad is 60% Greek. Like, they're mixed. I feel my identity is respected, and I would say no. And I think that's the isolation. My mom doesn't respect that I don't connect with the African American community because she feels somehow that she's failed. My husband doesn't respect that I grew up and makes fun of the parts of me that identify with something that's labeled as Caucasian. The black community has a hard time accepting the fact that I identify with both being Black and Caucasian. A Caucasian community has more welcoming questions and want to understand than they do not. And that's why I feel that's where I find my home, is inside of those comforting, safe places, right? I feel more identified with my nurture than my nature.